All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We have our matchup, and I think deep down, this is the one that, of the remaining teams of the Final Four, the Frozen Four, if I want to use the NCAA term, I think this is the one that most people wanted to see. So we will discuss that. We'll discuss Frankie and, Darcy Kemper, but we will discuss Nazem Kadri and Cogliano, and a former Avalanche coach had something to say about this current Avalanche team, but left one big piece out. Let's get going.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. And like I said in the beginning, man, we have our matchup. What are you thinking?
Oh, this is what you want. Like, I know everybody wanted the Rangers because they're easier, but no, you want this Avalanche team to take down the best in the world, and you are just salivating for game one.
So a lot to get to. That schedule, we'll talk about the schedule because it was hinged on this most recent game in game 6 between the Lightning and the Rangers, depending on when this series would start. So we'll talk about that. We got a lot to get to today, but first things first, of course, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, the lockedonavalanche@gmail.com, and follow the show over on our YouTube channel. Over on YouTube, hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. I'm still a little, well, I'm not really like under the weather, but is the voice like coming back at least? I don't know.
It's gorgeous, man. I mean, this is what the people come here for.
It's soulful right now is all I can say. Yeah, so you got, like I said in the beginning, I think this is the matchup that everybody was wanting as the playoffs were going along, and the Lightning kept making their way through the rounds, and the Avalanche kept making their way through the rounds. I think when it got to the Avalanche are in, as far as like ratings go, I think that it was really like a no-lose situation for the NHL. If it was going to be the Rangers, that's the New York Rangers. That's one of the most valuable teams in the league, right? So, in its original 6 team, that right there is going to sell. If it was going to be the Lightning, which of course it is, that's, I think, the bigger story, because now you have a team going for 3 in a row, and it doesn't even matter who the opponent was. People were going to be tuning in for that anyway, because the opponent is the Avalanche. And when people start turning their attention to the NHL now, because now it's Stanley Cup time, okay, who's my 2 teams? Tampa going after 3 in a row. I'm interested. Who's the other team on the West? Colorado Avalanche. And you start reading things about what they've done over the season and how, the players that they have. Cale Makar is a selling point. Nathan McKinnon is a selling point. People are going to tune into this Stanley Cup. And so far in this postseason, ratings have been very, very good. So now that it's moving over to ABC, we have the schedule. Is every game going to be on ABC, or is some going to be on ESPN?
I think it alternates. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at who gets what, but I know we're done with TNT. I know that for sure.
Yes. This is now ESPN's game.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that? I mean, this is good for the game. This matchup is great for the game.
Absolutely. And it's no matter how you look at it, for Avalanche fans, like I've mentioned this to you before, because outside of the podcast, by the way, we're really good friends. We got to watch the end of the game together. And I mentioned this to you, like, this is almost like a Mortal Kombat challenge tower. Like the Avs went through Duchesne in round 1. They went through O'Reilly. They went through Tyson Barrie round 3. And then the top of the tower, you have to take out Belmar. Like,
that's the top of the tower.
Well, it's going to be hard to like go the distance, like finish the mission and take the cup away from Belmar. It's gonna sting. Like, there's not one bad word to be said about Pebbles, and we're going to be stealing the cup away from Belmar. So for Avalanche fans, you get to complete the journey by dethroning the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. On the reverse, if I was Tampa Bay, this is who you don't want to face. You want to go for the three-peat. You, like anybody else, you could have done that. This could be a problem. This could be a big problem. So,
all right. Well, and here's my thing. Like, and I am not taking away. I joke with Adam all the time, which we're going to be doing some crossovers with Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And I joke all the time with him that if Tampa makes it this time, they'll be going for their first Stanley Cup in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, and he hates hearing that. He hates hearing that. But look at what they like. You've had they've gone against Dallas in the bubble. They went against Montreal in the last season, which was just all over the place. Legit Stanley Cup champions. I get that, but you're right. They haven't faced at least in the final, the Stanley Cup final. They haven't faced the Avalanche team, and everybody wants to say, "Oh, the Avs are going up against Vasilevsky." That's all true. That is very true. But if you watch that last game against the Rangers could generate nothing on offense. Absolutely nothing. And is it going to be tough for the Avalanche? Lightning have a very good defensive team. But the Rangers are not in the same ballpark as the Avalanche in terms of offense. So it's going to be fun to watch both teams have to figure out each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sure, the Avalanche are going to have to figure out Vasilevsky. I get that. But the Lightning defense is going to have to figure out how to stop the Avalanche from getting to Vasilevsky. So this is not going to be easy on either side.
And like going back to like the Tampa fans, like after you won that first cup, it wasn't taken with a lot of seriousness. Like it was kind of cute. Like like how everybody treated that Washington when they won. It was cute. It happened. Move on.
Right.
They started getting respect after the second one. And you mentioned the opponents, like they still don't feel really respected. And this was, wow, they're doing it again. They're going back for the three-peat. Like every time you watch a Lightning broadcast, they talk about the three-peat, how historic. This is their first time to really claim respect as a legitimate dynasty in the NHL. And who's there knocking on the door? The next team that is built for not just this year, but for years to come, that could also be a dynasty. They could ruin what Tampa Bay's got going and steal that narrative away and hold on to it for years to come. So as a Tampa fan, you're not looking forward to this. As Colorado Avalanche fans, I know there was a section of everyone who was wanting the Rangers because it's an easier opponent. If you're going to go through all that you went through in this season, you want the best of the best. You don't want that asterisk that Tampa had to do. We beat Dallas. We beat Montreal. You don't want Colorado to go all the way, win the cup, and, oh, it was the Rangers, though.
Right. Yeah. And I think what the Avs want is what Tampa has, like, right now. Because 2 years ago, nobody disliked Tampa. You know what I mean? Like, they've always been a good team. They've always been in the hunt. But when teams start winning championships, then they become the enemy.
Yep.
And everybody, if you don't live in Florida, or if you're one of those people that are scattered throughout the country that are just a Lightning fan, you are not rooting for Tampa.
Yeah.
You people start hating that team that starts to repeat and three-peat. They just become the enemy. And now you are going to have a lot of people rooting for the Colorado Avalanche to stop number 3. But on the flip side, the Avalanche want that. They want to be the hated team 2 years from now, after this year and going on to win, a couple more in a row. That's what you want if you're a franchise. So I'm not saying, I mean, of course, I feel like the Avalanche can win this thing, obviously. And if they do, are people going to be start talking about, like, is this like the passing of the torch? You always hear that when they talk about individual players. Like Sidney Crosby's coming down, and is he passing the torch to Cale Makar or Connor McDavid? Maybe that's already happened. But as far as teams go, people are going to start asking, because they were asking questions at the end of last year with Tampa and all. Like they made some moves because they had to cut salary. I don't think anybody expected them to be here right now. And they were down 3-2 in round 1 against Toronto. And people were like, yeah, they're still a playoff team, but I don't think they have it in them to really make another run. And they've proven all those people wrong. So if it happens where the Avs win, you might start hearing that because like you said, and we've said it many times, like this Avalanche team is built not just to do what they're doing this year, but for years to come. And you might start hearing that passing of the torch phrase get thrown around a lot.
And you heard this going into the year before COVID was a thing. The one that COVID hit midway through, this was the narrative from the talking heads before the season started. Like, this Colorado Avalanche team, they're built different. Keep an eye on them. This could be the beginning of something great. And then COVID kind of dethroned that narrative for a little while. And the Avs had to go get it. They had to go, like, there were a lot of national pundits talking about this Avalanche team is something you need to look at. Like, their rise through the playoffs here recently is not a fluke, and their construction is notable. So it's all set up for a passing of the torch moment, and this Avalanche team, especially with Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar, they're not going to loosen their grip for a long time.
Yeah, no, they're ready to go. So let's discuss. We're going to hear from Athletic Greens first, but we are going to discuss the goalie situation because we had talked about it. We've been talking about it since Frankie took over for a few games, and I was of the mind that it's kind of set in stone. It might not be. So let's hear from Athletic Greens and then talk about some goalies. So our next partner has a product that Kyle and I have been using every day for the past few months now, and that is Athletic Greens. So it is a 1-a-day scoop in your daily or morning water, and you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day off right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, your aging, pretty much everything. And I got to say, man, like with me feeling like garbage the past couple days, no lie, I might be still feeling like garbage if it was not for our good old Athletic Greens. I'm telling you. It works. It was created, the founder created Athletic Greens when he experienced a ton of gut health, and he ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover, which cost him over $100 a day. Athletic Greens costs you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your coffee or cold brew or Red Bull habit. So right now is the time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop a day in your cup of water. And that is it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, it's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, so goalies for the Lightning, don't got to talk about it because
for the Lightning.
Yeah, that's all set. Do we even know who the backup is for the Lightning? I have no idea. I think I asked Adam once when we were doing Locked On NHL, and he told me who it was, and I think by the end of the episode I had forgotten who it was.
Does the backup even know that he's the backup?
It's probably like a third pairing defenseman that they've just thrown in. For the Avs, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more complicated. And we had talked last week about after the Avs had clinched, and we kind of briefly discussed it and where we think the Avalanche were going to go. I'm on the side of Darcy Kemper as your horse. He's your number one. He's been your number one all year. He's had a great season. Sure, he didn't have the best series when it came to St. Louis, and it kind of bled over into the one game that he had with against Edmonton. But I still think you go with him. You are on the opposite side of that.
Yes, I am. I am unabashedly, proudly Team Frankie this whole time. We're taking this to kind of Twilight levels. There you go. Yep, we're almost like Team Jacob, Team Edward. This is Team Frankie and Team DK.
Yeah, remember you watched Lost, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah, man. That was another one. It was like Team Locke or Team who was the doctor?
It was like Team Lock, Team Doc.
Yeah, I don't remember the doctor's name, but whatever. That was another one. So yeah, that's and you should Team Lock. There we go.
Oh, true.
But it's true. Like we are kind of on opposite ends right now. Like I feel this is Darcy Kemper. You still have to go with him, and you're on Team Frankie.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that?
Honestly, it's not so much why am I, it's why am I not? What has he done where he doesn't deserve this position? Like he's been like right there on the verge of taking over this team through the Grubauer years. And like, yes, DK got hot, but the Avalanche have lost 2 games in the playoffs. Both of those are Darcy games. This is one thing to be talking about a nagging groin, a nagging arm, shoulder. This is your eyes, DK. If you're having issues with your eyes, that's kind of hard to compensate for. There's only so much you can do. And like Pavel Francouz is sitting on a .906 save percentage. Like,
yeah, the numbers are good. The numbers are favoring him, I would say, for the postseason. Kemper has come out and said he is 100%. He said there's nothing holding him back.
That's what you said in the St. Louis game when you had to take yourself out.
Well, that was because of shots, pucks to the mask. You know what I mean? Like that.
Oh, that's fine. Tampa's not going to shoot on us at all. We're fine.
Well, the St. Louis one.
It's like you could compensate for a groin or like any other injury. The eyes are basically what you need to play goalie. And if you're going to take a puck off the face, like, why are you going to bring in Frankie Cold? Because he looked shaky after he had to replace DK. When he came in, it took about 3 or 4 minutes for Frankie to get settled in and like get his bearings. Like that game had the potential of getting really nasty really quick.
Right. And here's the thing, like if the game 4 against Edmonton was stronger, I might be leaning towards you. And I don't want, you to feel like, well, that's unfair to Frankie because he had like one bad outing where Kemper had a few. But and Jared Bednar has come out and said like he's not sure, which is kind of why we're talking about this right now, because they've asked him, do you know who your number 1 goalie is going to be for game 1? And he said, not right now. I don't. It's still something that we're considering. So it's not cut and dry.
You bring up game 4, but why forget about game 3?
Well, he was good in game 3.
Like, and he's pitched a shutout against Edmonton in this series. Like,
I know.
It's that's
but when for game 4, like that was not a good game for him. And that's when you want, like, that's a shutdown game. You win this game, we are in the Stanley Cup final. That happened, but it was eventful. You know what I mean? And that's what I feel like you get from Pavel Francouz is, yes, he's a good goalie. I feel like his role is a backup role. If you want to ride him for a while, that's what happens. You ride guys that are hot. And that's true for guys that are forwards too. When we're talking about Burakovsky all the time, how he's up and down. When he's hot, you put him up on that top 6. And I don't know. So the bad game for Francouz, because it was game 4, and you don't know what that's going to happen going into game 1. You don't want that in game 1. You don't want him. And I think it's if you're telling Pavel Francouz you are now our backup. Like, sure, everybody's always saying like this is a team thing and what's best for the team, and I believe that, but there is still a blow to the ego when it comes to them. So if you go with Francouz and if you don't go with Francouz, and he's your backup, he's taking less of a hit from the ego because that's his normal spot. That's his normal position. Sure, he wants to start, but he's like, okay, I am here if they need me. If you go the opposite way, that's almost like bringing the backup quarterback in, and your starter is just like, he's just going to sit on the bench, and he's going to have, he's going to be, I don't want to say sulking, but you know what I mean by that. But I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to start Francouz, because I think he is better if you need him to come in and pretty much stop the dam from collapsing.
Both goalies have 6 wins so far through the playoffs.
Who are you talking about?
Darcy Kemper and Pavel Francouz.
Francouz doesn't have 6 wins in the playoffs.
He had the 4 in the Edmonton series and the 2 to finish out St. Louis.
He didn't have all 4 in Edmonton. Well, because he came in relief, right?
Didn't Darcy go out in the Edmonton St. Louis series?
No, that was the first game of the Edmonton series, I think.
Because they have him chalked up for 6 wins in the 21-22 playoffs. And that would be the difference in the 2 goalies from what I see right now is a shaky game from Francouz is still a win. A shaky game from DK is a loss.
So he came out of the game 1. Kemper came out in game 1. So, and it was, let me looking at time here. Yeah, Francouz got the win in that one. So yeah, so he did get all 4 of the wins there. Yeah. Okay, you're right.
Yeah. So I'm just like, what you're putting on Francouz, this team also believes in him. He's been around longer, been around 3 seasons with this team. They rally around him. You see that in the defensive play, which we talk about all the time. It looked a lot better. And if it's shaky and a W, like, you're getting what we need. You're getting a W. Like, Darcy dropped 2. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to say, hey, thanks for winning all these games, Frankie. Here's Darcy Kemper. Like, yeah, you got to write it out. He hasn't dropped one for us yet.
No, he hasn't. I don't know. I think it's a different animal when you're going to the Stanley Cup Finals game 1. And we've been saying all year long, well, maybe not all year long, but more than half the year, of when the season's over, what's our list of who we got to sign first? And it's always Nichushkin and then Kemper.
Yeah.
It's always that, like, 1-2. Every once in a while, you'll maybe flip that and say, like, Kemper's got to be number 1. He's your guy. Like, he's had a great season. Yeah, and I feel like he's going to get, no, I know you like him, but I just know your love of Pavel Francouz. So, and I think, like, you have to give him the opportunity. If he is your horse, you have to give him the opportunity to start game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. And if he can't get up for that, and that's another thing, if he can't get up for that and he is performing poorly in the Stanley Cup Finals, he's an unrestricted free agent. The Avalanche need to see what they have in him and if they want to sign him for next year as well. And this is a big litmus test for that.
I say you make that decision in the offseason. What Frankie's doing right now, this is the kind of story that legends are made of, like these relief efforts where you just don't drop a game. Like, these are where legends are made. And like Darcy Kemper, yes, he's been great all year, but you can't just say, thanks for winning all these games, go sit back down. You can't mess with that. Like, we talk about riding the hot hand all the time. Ride the hot hand. When Frankie lets you down, swap it up and then go with that.
That's where I'm, like, torn, because I like doing that. I like going with the guy who's on a roll. And for the most part, Pavel Francouz is. I'm just hung up on it being the Stanley Cup Final, and I always feel like you play your aces from top to bottom on the Stanley Cup Final game 1, and if they're not performing, all right, then we make some changes. But I kind of feel like that's what Pavel Francouz is there for. If it's not going well, we can switch to you, and that's okay. But I don't want
to shoot up 3 teams of aces. What's wrong with 4?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Bednar he always surprises you though, man. Whenever I feel like there's a line that he's gonna go out with, and if someone's supposed to be, look what he did in the beginning of the playoffs. Alex Newhook, not even on the on any of the on the lines.
So you're saying Justus Annunen?
Yeah. Let's just agree to that then, right? Yeah. We'll go with him. All right. But there's some other issues going on in Avalanche land, and that is the injury. That's the one reason why I wanted the Rangers to win at least game 6.
Yeah.
To give some time to a couple guys. So we'll talk about that. But first, we're going to hear from betonline.net. Now is your time to get to betonline.net and throw some scratch down on our boys, the Colorado Avalanche. Number one source for all of your betting stats and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, news, and odds, including this year's basketball championship matchup, the Stanley Cup Finals, Major League Baseball, and of course, all of the latest fighting news from MMA and UFC to boxing. And BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline.net, where the game starts. A lot of eyes are going to be on Nazem Kadri. You can add, for Avalanche fans anyway, you can add Cogliano to that mix. Seems like they had similar injuries, just different fingers. Kadri we've been hearing, is the thumb. And I don't know of the other 4 for Cogliano. But they both had injuries to a finger. They both possibly could be back at some point during the Stanley Cup final. And like I said, that's kind of why I wanted the Rangers to at least win, because if they had won game 6, Stanley Cup Finals game 1 takes place on Saturday, because Tampa won. This is starting on Wednesday. So they don't have those extra 3 days. It would have been nice for them. It would have sucked for us because we had to wait a whole nother week to start this thing. But that is what it is. And I kind of feel like these guys are going to work as hard as they possibly can to get back to play in the final and not hurt their team. They don't want to come back just to come back and say, play in the Stanley Cup final. They're going to come back knowing that they can make a difference in these games.
And as someone who has broken 2 fingers in his life, you never fully get 100% from them. Like,
okay,
I don't think the difference between Wednesday and Saturday would be all that much. And there's only so much you could really do to heal faster, unless you are Wolverine. Like, you can only sit there and just hold and just like
Mr. Miyagi. Yeah.
Because like this is honestly, it's what you could play through. And I feel like that's what they're figuring out now. And they're going to get themselves to a level and then understand this is the cup and adrenaline's going to play a factor in it. And you can adjust your game and get around it. If you've ever put on a pair of hockey gloves in a while, they are well insulated. They keep your fingers pretty stationary.
I mean, that's the tough part, is like, you got to grip that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gripping a hockey stick is pretty important.
And
so if they can't get good grip on it, it's going to be, you're just out there. You're just a figurehead at that point.
That's what concerns me about Nas, is being the thumb. That's a big one. Like Cogs, whatever other finger, it's probably going to hinder, but a thumb is crucial.
It's going to hurt. So, what do you think? Do you think
they'll be in
by what? Like
game 1?
I don't think so. I can't imagine that. I think you're looking at like middle of the series, 3, 4, 5 in that range.
Game 1.
I'm
saying it. You're hearing this on Monday. Game 1. Write it down.
For both of them?
I say Nas.
Are they yours? Both.
I say Nas.
Yeah.
He's not going to watch this team go the distance without him.
But he's also not going to hurt them, and that's what I said. Like he's not. Of course, he wants to come in on game 1, but I think he bides his time. If they're losing, I think he comes back earlier. Believe it or not, to try to like kickstart something, reinvigorate the team. If they're winning, no rush. Don't need you.
He's going to have about 4.5 inches of tape on that thumb, and it's going to be stuck in that glove, and it's not going to move.
Yeah. I have Nazem Kadri gloves right up here. I can let you know. I have no idea if my hand is as big as him. I'm going to say it's not, but how much I should wrap my thumb up and see how much give I have in his yeah.
Locked on Mythbusters.
We just got to blow stuff up if that's yeah. And then we'll end with this very interesting article out on NHL.com right now. Lengthy article, very, very long article, and it gets into the history of Patrick Roy. But the headline, the grabber, is he is in full support of the Colorado Avalanche in winning the Stanley Cup. That might not come as so much of a shock to people, considering his history. Maybe to others it does because of the way he kind of quit the team. Well, didn't kind of quit. He did quit the team. So you really haven't seen him around, the team at all since that happened. And he has his own team that he runs up in Canada. But you don't really hear much talk coming from Patrick Roy about the Avalanche. But in this article, he says a lot. He says this is an exciting team. I enjoy watching them. They're a fun team. He's really close with Landeskog and Nathan MacKinnon, which he is the reason Nathan MacKinnon is on the Avalanche. He says multiple times throughout the article, I'm really happy for Joe, meaning Joe Sakic. And so all of that seems like it's just bygones are bygones, water under the bridge. Everything is okay. That happened a long time ago. One guy he does not mention at all is Jared Bednar. Now, I'm not saying there's beef between these two guys, and they didn't fire Patrick Roy to go hire Jared Bednar. Bednar just happens to be the guy that followed Patrick Roy after he left the team. I don't know what to make of this. Like, I don't think there's any animosity there, but it's kind of telling to me that Patrick Roy didn't come. He's praising all of these people, and you would have thought he would have said, and just a quick quote. He doesn't have to like flaunt over the guy, but just say like, I think he's done a really good job coaching this team, and could have left it at that, but not a peep.
To me, the whole article screamed of damage control and please look at me fondly, Colorado.
Because if they win it, I want to be included in
I
ceremonies.
Want to be there. He's been in Montreal. He's had no problem attending Canadiens games.
Oh, he was wanting that GM position. He was wanting that head coach position for the Canadiens. Yeah.
At any time this year, we didn't have to hear these quotes after we clinched our spot in the Cup final. On the President's Trophy last year, All-Star Game selections, anywhere in this rise would have been great. And to only mention Landy and Nathan MacKinnon, hey, by the way, we've heard Landy and Nathan MacKinnon's side on when they talked with the Chicklets guys about what it's like playing for you and said how crazy you are. Right. That's nice that you talk about them. That's great and adorable. And of course, you're going to mention Joe Sakic because, hey, bud, I'm sorry for quitting on you. Please don't hate me. Like all of it. It did not sit well with me, and especially the omission of Bednar. Like he is the key to where the Avalanche team is right now. I mean, it's not your buddies. It's Jared Bednar. He's
been the coach since you left.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's not. And again, like they didn't go look for him to get rid of you. I don't know. I just thought, and I know you have a longer and better history with Joe Sakic. I get all that. And again, I'm not looking for comment after comment after comment about Jared Bednar, but it's a little bit surprising that he's been there as long as he has been there. Since you left, he's been there. He's been their only coach since then. And he has the most wins in that franchise record, which you are a huge part of their history. To not just say he's done an excellent job with this team, I don't know. It's kind of wrong, if you ask me.
He left the Avs because he didn't agree with Joe Sakic, but apparently now they're buddies. And if you read the article top to bottom, it is 70% how great I am And oh yeah, I'm good buddies. Like talks about 96, 01, all of his records. Loves talking about himself. And oh yeah, Nate's great. He's a great player. I mean, anybody can tell you that.
Yeah.
Gabe Landeskog's great captain. Thank you, Patrick Waugh. I wonder why TNT didn't call
Captain
you
Obvious.
for your analysis. But like it just felt very damage control, and especially the timing. I'm not. You got to do a little bit more, bud. There's a lot of Avalanche fans that are very hurt on how you left.
It's true. Like they've done a lot since he left. You know what I mean? They have accomplished a lot. Obviously, not the big thing that
Mhm.
everyone wants them to accomplish, but yeah, President's Trophy. You know, you've made playoffs every single year. They've been an exciting team. They've been an exciting team to watch for multiple years, and it is just a little odd that he's wanting to get his foot in the door because the Avs are on the doorstep of potentially winning another cup. And if they do win it, he should be involved in any festivities.
Of course.
He should be. But I just wish he was around a little bit more over these past handful of years. But if you need a year or two, and like I said, I know he's got his own franchise up in Canada. I can't remember what league it's in, but
The Quebec Ramparts, yeah.
yeah, I think he's owner and I think he's coach. Like he's a busy guy. But we've had several years where it's just been radio silence from Patrick Watt, and it'd be nice to see more of him. He's a huge part of this franchise.
Yep.
You'd like to see more of him, not just when they get into a Stanley Cup final. So go read the article. It's still a good article, and I appreciate that he is, at least saying some things. But I don't know. Is it too little, too late? I don't know. We'll see.
I'm got to do a little bit more, Patrick.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more.
All right. Well, that will wrap it up today. We will not be here on Tuesday. I am going out of town. I won't be back until late Monday. So we won't have time to record for Tuesday. But I'm working on something pretty special. If we can make it happen, be Tuesday recording for Wednesday, which would be clearly game 1, which that would coincide. Fantastic. So we shall see with that. I don't want to spill the beans if it doesn't happen, but it's looking good. I'll say that. But until then, we're here, man. This is what we've been waiting for. So, Avs and Lightning, let's do this thing. We'll get to our prediction a little bit later, maybe on the Tuesday episode or the Wednesday episode now. So, but until then, he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanking you for making this your first listen of the day. And we will be back not next Tuesday. What? No, not Tuesday. Wednesday. There we go. We'll be back on Wednesday. All right, guys. Have a good one.